the item that arrived in that box is this small watchmaker's lathe. It's difficult in pictures to get an idea of the size of it. If I go up there, you'll see that the total size of the lathe is about the same length as a 00 gauge engine. And here's a video which crosses over a little bit from my interest in lathes to my interest in 00 gauge modelling. So my first impressions of this are actually very favourable. And so what I've done is I've oiled, put some oil in here, I'll put oil in various places, just standard 3-in-1 oil. If you're looking at this and you know of a better thing to use, let me know. And I adjusted these grub screws here in the pulley to get the cone bearing on the spindle to a comfortable feel. I was able to push it so it was too tight and then moved it until it slackened off. And now that seems to be very nice. There's no movement there, no play in the spindle, and it spins nice and freely there. Look at that, lovely and freely. That's the device for holding the collet chuck in, and there's the motor for it. It's a Singer motor with foot pedal on a foot pedal. I've just taken the belt off to relieve the tension. And what I've done is I've just chucked a piece of brass rod in there. I had some brass rod sections in my modelling drawer. So what will I be using it for? Well, initially for decorative rather than precision items. So if you look at the model there, you'll see I think those are pressure relief valves, and on some models you get whistles. I also do some G-scale modelling, and so there are little bits on here. When I say rather than precision, they're not precision as you would have in a watch or the mechanism that makes it move, like the axles and wheels on it. They're the components of it, and right down to the fact that you've got some standoffs here, though you know what, the way they're mass produced, I'm not sure, but if I did need to, that's almost like some very fine brass wire. So decorative things like that don't require me to have to be able to make things specifically to size. Anyway, let's quickly go over this. So it's got Lorch written on there. I've not seen Lorch elsewhere, so it's a what do they call it? Geneva pattern watchmaker's lathe, and that's the part that holds the rest for the tool. There's there's some signs of some possible brazing on the tailstock, but I have put a center into the tailstock and lined it up with this, and it all seems to line up quite nicely. It's interesting that I haven't seen a mount like this before, but this mount works. It looks as though the part that holds the lathe in has been cut and welded onto just a piece of steel plate to allow it to be screwed onto here. But it works. So it makes it a little bit unique because it's not got that usual very tall high reach. But it's standing on this box, on this little drawer thing, so that it ends up being about the right height there when it's on this table that I've got it on here, complete with Singer motor and the lamp on there, which is shining down onto the back of the lathe, which is all right because I've got a bendy light here onto the front. So that all looks very nice. I was a little bit concerned about how you get that tool rest the right distance from the thing you're cutting, but of course, even though this doesn't slide in and out that way, it does rotate about the bar, and so by adjusting the height in there, and its rotation, you can move it closer to the tool or not. I don't know if that's right. I'm doing that. You can tell me. That's just what I figured out. So I can move that up a bit and then move that closer. And so the good thing about it, from my point of view, because I haven't got any tools, is it came with a selection of tools. A selection of collets here, quite a few collets, but they're not all different sizes. There's a few duplicates in there where you've got collets which are the same size. I'm not sure about that. You've got a second headstock and spindle there, and that might mean you can leave something chucked in and swap things over. I'm not quite sure exactly. There isn't another tailstock. On some others I've seen spare tailstocks. That's the screw for holding the collets in through that spindle. We've got these disc collets which will hold the disc. If I want to turn a 00 gauge wheel, there'll be one of these which will fit the 00 gauge wheel and hold it while I turn it. And so there's a good selection of those. I haven't checked how the sizes work, but in the finer sizes you usually get 10 of these, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. There are these resin or glue chucks for gluing things onto a chuck, and I've seen people using this center in the tailstock to press the item onto the glue, and there's a large diameter one and these are smaller diameter ones. I think they're all the same, designed to, that's interesting because the screw looks very close to the tapered part on those. Well, right, that might be what that bit's for, i.e. this bit is what you put into your headstock, into the spindle, and then that part will screw into there. Okay, so we're all right. A couple more tool rests, some steadies. There's these things here all fit into this offset piece which would go into the tailstock. I'm not quite sure what it's used for yet, but it would bring these holes or these supports here, if this is, as I think it is, a steady, to steady the end of a spindle, then that will bring them back onto the center line of your item that you're working with. And then these pulley systems which allow you to do a different type of turning, supporting something in a different way. And I think that's just a file rest, a couple of wheels there. So a good range to get me started. I think I've worked out I need a magnifying glass and a fine stone. Oh, gravers. So you've got basic graver, looks nicely ground to a diamond finish. Some smaller graving tools down there, smaller size, one graving handle. So there we have it. I've run it. That was just a random piece of brass rod. It runs very true. Not that I put a micrometer on it or anything, but by holding the tool against it, there's no vibration on the tool, so it's not running out. That I can detect by holding a tool against it. It seems to be running, but I've not measured it. What am I talking about? It just runs nicely. So there we are, something I'm quite pleased with. That will be a nice addition to the tools and allow me to do some work that might be harder to do with a normal lathe and chuck. What you getting a whole host of collets allows you to do a different style of turning up to, I think in here, 4 or 5 millimeters diameter. I've not got any oversized collets. So the largest diameter I can do is about 4 or 5 millimeters. We'll see how much of a restriction that is. If it's above that, I do have other lathes I might bring into use. Rubbish. Okay, people like to see things moving. I've been recording a load of rubbish. This may be even more rubbish. So I'm not quite sure about belt tension, but that's how the belt looks. It turns the item. I've just wedged a screwdriver under there. I've set the tool rest to a height where I feel I can get the tool to an appropriate point on the material. It's diamond down. You see, I actually don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I was just saying then that I don't know what I'm talking about. I've watched a couple of videos and that's all. And I need to watch many more, and I've ordered a book. Okay, just playing there, not getting any particular shape. I can't even get it in focus. But as you can see, it works. It's functional. It seems to be running smoothly, nice and true. Take the tension off that, take that off that. I'm very pleased with that. Bit of oil in there. There's no sense of any play or heat in the bearings or anything. So there we are. That was it actually running. And if I get any good at it and I'm able to make something, I might want to boast about what I've made with this lathe.